In this presentation, I am making a research proposal titled Impact of Stakeholders on Organizational Management and Performance, a Comprehensive Analysis. Introduction. The stakeholder theory developed by Edward Freeman in 1984 provides an important approach to analyzing how organizations are run and perform. The following research proposal centers on the critical analysis of stakeholders theory contribution to the improvement of organizational management and performance. To this end, it attempts to address an existing gap in the literature and provide some practical insight for practitioners. The aims and objectives of the research proposal. The purpose of this study is to examine stakeholder theory to ascertain its influence on the practices of management and the measure of performance applied within organizations. This will be accomplished by 1. To provide a theoretical underpinning to the stakeholder theory and how it has evolved. 2. To examine how stakeholder participation plays in the ability to shape the management strategies and performance of organizations. And the third is to determine policy options to incorporate stakeholders in organizational processes. How the research aims, objectives, and questions were formulated. Formulating research aims, objectives, and questions involves a structured process that ensures alignment with the broader goals of the study while addressing specific gaps in existing literature. Here is how each component was formulated. 1. Identify the research gap. The initial step involved conducting a thorough literature review to identify gaps in the current understanding of stakeholders' theory's impact on organizational management and performance. This highlighted a need for a comprehensive analysis that integrates both theoretical and practical perspectives. Define the scope. Given the broad applicability of stakeholder theory, it was essential to narrow down the focus to areas that are both significant and underexplored. Thus, the aim was framed to concentrate on the relationship between stakeholder engagement and management strategies. Align with broader goals. The research aim aligns with the broader academic and practical goals by seeking to enhance both the theoretical framework and practical applications of stakeholder engagement in organizations. Research objective. The aim was broken down. Objectives were derived by breaking down the overarching aim into specific actionable components. Each objective focuses on a distinct aspect of the aim to ensure a systematic exploration of the research problem. To ensure clarity and precision, each objective was crafted to be clear and precise, providing a roadmap for the research process. The objectives encompass exploration, the theoretical foundations, analysis, the role of stakeholder engagement, measurement, effects on performance, and identification best practices. Prioritize visibility. Visibility was a key consideration, ensuring that the objectives could realistically be addressed within the scope and resources available for the research. Research questions derived from the objectives. Research questions were formulated by directly deriving them from the established objectives. Each question corresponds to a specific objective, guiding the investigation and data collection process. 2. To ensure relevance and focus. The questions were designed to be relevant to the research aim and focused enough to allow for detailed investigation. They are crafted to bridge the gap between theoretical inquiry and practical implications. Third, to foster inquiry and exploration. The questions are open-ended to foster inquiry and exploration, encouraging a comprehensive analysis that goes beyond surface-level examination. Typical examples of aim or aims, objectives, and questions will be in this form. The aim will be to understand and evaluate the impact of stakeholder theory on management practices and performance metrics within organizations. And the objective will be in this manner to explore the theoretical foundations of stakeholder theory and its evolution over time. To reframe or to frame the research question, we look in this manner. How has stakeholder theory evolved and what are its core theoretical foundations? The second objective, a typical example, will be to analyze the role of stakeholder engagement in influencing organizational management strategies. The research question, in what ways does stakeholder engagement influences organizational management strategies? The formulation of aims, objectives, and questions is a critical step that requires careful consideration of the existing literature, theoretical gaps, practical relevance, and visibility. This structured approach ensures that the research is focused, coherent, and capable of contributing valuable insights to both academic and practical fields. See, evolution of the benefits of using different sources of information in academic writing. The use of varied sources of information in the process of academic writing has the ability, when combined in writing process, to enhance the overall quality and credibility of this writing. Here are a few of the advantages of using mixed sources. The first one is comprehensive understanding. Using different sources results in a more comprehensive understanding of the topic. Primary sources provide first-hand counts, secondary sources offer analysis, and tertiary sources summarize and contextualize information. This means allows for a well-rounded perspective. Two, credibility and reliability. Citing multiple sources increases the credibility of academic writing. When readers see a diversity of authoritative references, they are more likely to trust the validity of the arguments presented. Exposure to diverse perspectives. Academic work benefits from a variety of viewpoints, which can be gained by consulting sources from different authors, disciplines, or cultural contexts. This diversity helps in forming balanced arguments and highlights underrepresented perspectives within a topic. Continuation. Number four, depth of analysis. Varied sources allow for deeper analysis by providing different evidence or theoretical frameworks to support or challenge a thesis. They enable the writer to engage more critically within the subject matter. Number five, which is also very important, identification of research gaps. By reviewing a wide range of sources, researchers can bitterly identify gaps within existing literature, providing opportunities for original contributions to the field. Number six, improved argumentation. Diverse sources strengthen argumentation by providing multiple lines of evidence. This multifaceted support can enhance the persuasiveness of the writer's conclusions. D. Importance of avoiding plagiarism and academic misconduct. Academic integrity is of utmost importance in establishing credibility and respect for scholarly work. Here are some valid points. Number one, ethics. It is simply the ethical thing to do in cases of plagiarism. This moral principle is broken because a work or set of words, ideas, is presented as belonging to oneself when it does not. Intellectual property rights. Scholars should adhere to established intellectual property rights. These rights are violated by plagiarism, and it may be met with legal as well as academic ramifications. Fostering originality and critical thinking. A focus on being original develops critical thinking and engagement. Academics must be willing to share their perspectives and views, which ought to have the objective of continual personal and academic development. Reputation and career consequences. Academic misconduct carries the potential for daring consequences for reputation and career. It leads to suspension, expulsion, loss of reputation, and trust from colleagues and employers. Preserving scholarship. Note plagiarism helps preserve the quality of scholarship and the integrity of the institution that pursue it. E. Research methodology, research method. This study will be a mixed methods research as a qualitative and quantitative combined approach gives a more systematic study to provide a comprehensive analysis. Rationale for method selection. The choice of a mixed method approach is justified by the need to capture both the depth qualitative and breadth quantitative of the research problem. Qualitative methods facilitate a nuanced understanding of stakeholder dynamics and their impact on management practices, while quantitative methods enable the identification and analysis of patterns and correlation in large data sets. Criswell and Plano 2018. Unsuitability of other methods. A purely qualitative approach will lack the ability to generalize findings across different organizational contexts, limiting the study's applicability. A purely quantitative approach, while suitable for identifying patterns, will not provide the depth of understanding required to grasp stakeholder relationships and management adaptations fully. Evaluation of different methods for collecting and analyzing data. Data collection methods. There are several data collection methods, whether primary or secondary data. Here are some below. 1. Surveys and questionnaires. Advantages. Appropriate for efficiently collecting large amounts of data. 2. Data in a standardized format is easier to work with in analysis. Disadvantages. They present a shallow perspective on issues because they offer a limited set of responses. The risk of low response rate or bias. Evaluation of different methods for collecting and data, analyzing data continuation. Number 2 is interviews. Advantages. In-depth and how much of a contribution each sort makes. Enables in-depth follow-up questions and discussions on complex issues. Disadvantages: expensive and time-consuming. The process of drawing data can be more subjective or ambiguous. Continuation. Number 3, observations. Advantages: represents natural behavior in the moment. Its usefulness when participants are perhaps not able to voice what they are doing. Disadvantages: objectivity is impacted by observer bias, restricted to external circumstances and events. Data analysis methods. Quantitative analysis. The disadvantages will be that it allows for generalization and provides statistical validity. Well suited for hypothesis testing and numerical comparison. Disadvantages: limited ability to address in-depth context. This will require a knowledge of statistics. Analysis methods continuation. Qualitative analysis. Advantages: in-depth rich data that allow deep understanding of phenomena, helpful for preliminary stories. Disadvantages: risk of subjective interpretation. And two, research data can be very time consuming to code and analyze. Mixed methods analysis. A continuation of data analysis methods. The advantages are it borrows the best from both qualitative and quantitative approaches. And also it helps to provide an overarching view of the research problem. Disadvantages: design and implementation are complicated. Necessary skills in both quantitative and qualitative research will be required. Challenges that are likely to be faced in the research projects. Number one, literature review complexity. The identification and acquisition of literature can be challenging and could take time, particularly when the literature is new or the field is broad or emerging. This could be either information overload or information deserts. To mitigate this, one needs to focus on the search using specialized databases and setting certain search criteria may help. Data collection barriers. Obtaining the necessary data, especially on sensitive topics and or from particular groups, is a challenge. Early engagement with relevant stakeholders and transparency regarding the goals of the research can reduce this barrier. Time constraints and resource limitation. Access to technology could limit the scope of the research, and time pressure management could also be challenging to fulfill work and academic obligations. Analysis challenges continuation. The choice and application of relevant analytical tests may be complex due to a lack of proficiency in analytical tools. Therefore, there is a need to receiving training or workshops on applying relevant tools or seeking expert or supervisor's consultation, which may enhance the ability to provide a more valid, robust analysis. Maintaining objectivity. Bias or unconscious preconceptions may impact data interpretation. Mitigation measures concerned with reflection and discussing findings with colleagues or supervisor or as a validation of findings to assist in maintaining objectivity. Adapting to unexpected results. Unanticipated outcomes of research efforts often demand a shifting of research focus or methodological approach. Flexibility and open mind will be needed. There is a positive side to having counterintuitive results. Ethical considerations. The maintenance of appropriate ethical standards, particularly where research involves humans, can be difficult. Awareness of ethical standards and obtaining ethical clearance from a supervisor can help offset these concerns. Reflection on learning techniques for completing the research projects. The ability to learn deeply and efficiently is a critical aspect of starting a research project. Below are some of the techniques adopted: structured planning and time management. At the start of the projects, one we have to break down the project into smaller manageable tasks and set deadlines. Timeline. And then some techniques employed were the Gantt charts, calendars on the computer for updates to these projects, allow maintaining the emphasis on or establishing deadlines for the task. Active engagement with literature. The reflection back was to reflect on engagement with the literature which was important to understand the context and be able to identify where the gaps in the literature were. And for my part, I practice engaged reading, underlining texts, note taking, and highlighting to reinforce what I am reading, and then ensure retention of the key points. Then the third one is diverse resource utilization. We use diverse sources. The use of data sources added depth to the research from various perspectives. And then the technique, we encountered this by broadening our sources to now include journal articles, books, and online databases, proven to be reliable so that we have a more comprehensive perspective on the subject than was previously the case. And then the other one was critical thinking and reflection, which is the fourth one. The reflection was the research process and findings improved my critical thinking skills. And then we maintain a research journal documenting insights, struggles, and reflective moments, which help us tap on our progress and identify things on which to improve. Then the last one, adaptability and problem solving. Adaptability was necessary when addressing challenges such as those presented with data collection. We adapted by revisiting and revising research questions and methods to stay in line with the project goals. Self-motivation and independent learning. Reflection. We needed to be highly self-motivated to keep the project going. We adopted this, we established personal goals and rewards for achieving them as a means to maintain the motivation and desire to explore and learn on our own. Conclusion. It was a good training opportunity at different levels. In this way, I developed a holistic approach to researching through planning, active engagement, cooperation, and flexibility. Using these tools not only allowed me to successfully finish both projects, but also helped me grow as a researcher. Thank you very much. Bye.